right, everyone, welcome back to Pave The Way Podcast. I got a great guest, a good buddy of mine, Mike Cowper are you in, let me guess your town real quick. Are you in Macomb, Michigan?
I grew up in Macomb, Michigan. Actually grew up, but yeah, I live in Farmington, but Metro Detroit, Michigan is where my market is.
Okay. I thought you were in Macomb, Michigan. I'm like, cause I've heard of that from playing hockey, and I'm like, I think this guy lives there, and I'm going to totally guess. And I was wrong. So cool. Mike from Michigan, Detroit Metro. This guy is an absolute rock star. We're going to talk about a lot of great stuff, real estate related today. Obviously, met Mike in a mastermind that we're both a part of called the Multipliers, which is a high-level mastermind. We were in Mexico. Dude, that was like 3 months ago. It's crazy how time flies. It's like scary. It's almost May.
I know it's been a time warp, at least for me. And since COVID, everything's kind of blurring together. And crazy. I would say one of the advantages of being a business owner is you don't follow a conventional schedule. You're not punching in, punching out. So that also adds to the time warp.
Totally, dude. And it's like, what the hell is going on? Like it's just a blur. So anyway, I met Mike, and I think we have a lot of the same friends and stuff. So we kind of knew of each other, and then we met in the flesh in Mexico, and we were like, oh shit, what's up, dude? You're a real person. Cool. We probably messaged on social media a few times. So it's nice to meet Mike and learn about his story. He's got an awesome business there in the Detroit metro area. So Mike, man, before we get into the nitty gritty today, can you just kind of tell the listeners a little bit about your background and what you were doing before you got involved in the entrepreneur ventures that you're involved in now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I graduated from college at the best time to find a job, 2008. So during that Great Recession kickoff party, that's when I was graduating college. And I didn't realize at the time that business management is kind of a fake degree. I mean, it's a real degree, but you don't go in and get hired as business manager right out of college. And I didn't realize that. So I cut my teeth by, just applying to everything that was available. And I got hired on relatively quickly as a copy machine salesperson.
Oh, okay. Xerox, huh?
Well, not Xerox. We were doing Sharp. Xerox was one of our competitors. But, here's the thing. I learned a lot from that, and it really taught me a lot about persistence, about overcoming objections, about going through the grind, about, dealing with rejection, because I went through 3 cities to every single street and every single business and door knocked and cold called every single one of those people, and essentially built an entire database and implemented a CRM for this company. It was a small mom and pop. And, I did okay with it. I wasn't great. It was more persistent than anything else that got me the sales. I wasn't as, sharpened or refined as a blade as I am now in the sales arena. Yeah. But I learned a lot that I believe everyone should learn in any kind of industry is you've got to be able to deal with rejection. You've got to be able to deal with putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. You've got to be able to figure out how to navigate those waters. Doesn't mean you might not love them. You might not want to be in it all the time, but you have to have the sea legs for that. So I started doing that, ended up moving to Thomson Reuters. And while I was there, I was selling tax and accounting information. My first year there, I missed President's Club only because they didn't count my ramp up towards quota. I had to hit a full person's quota, and I missed by like $5,000. So I almost won President's Club my first year there. Then I piloted 2 different programs for them, some virtual markets, then kind of like a hybrid virtual in-person meetings for them. Yeah. And I did that for a couple years with Thomson Reuters. And then I got recruited into pharmaceutical sales. So while there, I did end up winning President's Club right before I really launched my real estate career. So I have a lot of different experience on phone sales, on door knocking, on relationship selling, on transactional selling. And that's really how I leaned into real estate, was because I started trying to network with people and learn about real estate. Because I recognized, hey, this is an opportunity to become a wealthy person, build passive income. Millionaires are made through real estate more so than any other industry. But yeah, that's kind of my background. I'm gonna let you talk a little bit because I could suck the wind out of the air out of the room.
Interesting. So when you're in follow-up question on the pharmaceutical sales, I know a guy who got started, and he's been on the show, and he started out, he was selling Viagra. And he did that before he got involved in real estate. So what were you selling pharmaceutical wise? Because that's like a niche that everyone's like, oh, there's big money in pharmaceutical sales, which is true, obviously. So what the hell were you selling? Was it Viagra?
It was not Viagra. And I actually got into pharmaceutical after the Sunshine Act got passed. So I wasn't allowed to basically make it rain for people. I couldn't go on golf trips. I couldn't take people out to the bars. I had to, account and expense everything for lunches and things like that. But I had a somewhat of a rotation of medicines. One of my more successful ones that went and sent me to President's Club was a COPD medication. It was an inhaler that helped people, open up their lungs. I sold 2 different antidepressants. And the one that was probably the one I was most successful at selling was actually a shit drug called Linzess. It was helping people consistently poop for constipation. Oh, yeah. So that was a fun one to sell.
It's interesting how, that's interesting because it's like you get the wide range of things. It's like people don't think like there's a real sales cycle with these types of products. It's not like you're just, going out and pulling the pun intended, drugs out of your ass. You got to sell these things to doctors and then they obviously distribute them to the patients. So you get involved in real estate now, like how the hell, you kind of get the bug at that point. Everyone gets the bug. You're already obviously making money. You're successful. What was your first 1 or 2 moves in real estate? And then obviously we'll talk about your business today.
So my first move in real estate, and I want to make sure I give my dad some credit for this because a lot of it's due to him. He was in real estate when I was younger, and I didn't really fully pay attention to what he was doing. But I remember helping him renovate houses, painting walls and stuff like that. I didn't totally get it then. Yeah. But that's probably where I first got the bug. And then my first move was I went and found all the local real estate investor groups. And I just started going to all of them. Yeah. One of them offered training in a mentorship program for $5,000. I ponied up the money that night, and they helped me identify and find my first rental property.
Nice.
Yeah. So, looking back, they did some shady stuff after that. And, I think one of them's actually on the run right now and no one can find him. Oh my God. But yeah, it's like taking advantage of people's money. I know it wasn't great. I was lucky. I can't speak anything bad about them myself because they did everything I requested of them and I was able to avoid the pitfalls that came with it. Yeah. But that was the first thing. I went and got training. I've been a big fan and found a lot of success like this, like podcasts, like finding people that are the experts, listening to them, taking their advice. Like I don't have to learn everything myself. When you do learn stuff yourself and experiment is when you've established yourself in a way that you can take some of those risks for experimental and cutting edge kind of strategies.
100%, dude. That's so true. And it's like nowadays too, like obviously when you got started and I got started, it was like there was podcasts, but it wasn't like now where there's like literally thousands of real estate podcasts. Like the information's out there. Like, a lot of people, I get messages and like, oh dude, how do I, I'm like, and I answer the question. Then I'm like, by the way, besides that little 3-sentence answer, you can probably listen to 45 podcasts exactly in detail on this. So there's no excuse to not get started now with all the information. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree. And one of the things though, that I think was a benefit / disadvantage, right? There's all the information out there now, but it seems like a lot of it's sizzle reel, right? It's like, here's what you do. And technically you're speaking, you're exactly right. This is all you have to do, but there's so much nuance and little parts of everything that goes into it. Like sending direct mail sounds simple, all right? Go to ListSource, pull a list, put it on a postcard, go to, whatever mail source you want to, and the calls come in. Well, there's about 1,000 other things that go in between all of those gaps, but those are the big rocks. That's exactly what you do.
Yeah.
And people can make it sound easier than it is because oftentimes it's someone selling a product or something like that, which is totally valuable, right? Like I said, I've sold products, I've paid for products. I think they're out there and they're worth it. But when there's so much information, you have to make sure you're trusting the person you're getting that information from. And I would even say there might be several people that have great information, but if you try to piecemeal their different stuff together, then you're not going to get what it's truly supposed to be. I think people like to be the mad cook in the kitchen too much. Follow the process, make the cake, and then start being, Gordon Ramsay if he makes cakes.
Yeah, getting creative. Yeah, you got to have the basics dialed in. And that's such a good point. I'm glad you brought that up because they listen to like Guru A. Guru A is like all about sub twos. And I'm not calling it, I'm just saying in general. And then they listen to Guru B, and then Guru B is like, oh, you should never do sub twos. You should do seller financing.
Absolutely.
And then they don't know what to do. And then they listen to Guru C, and Guru C says you should never rehab a house. You should only assign contracts. And then they're just there. There's so much cloud in their head. So you gotta laser target, and you gotta find out really what you want. And I've been a big fan of, and I'm sure you've done this. It's like once I know what I want, I study the person who has what I want, and then I learn from them, and I go a lot more in detail with that strategy. So fast forward to today, obviously you and your partner, Mike, which is pretty cool. You guys got
the mics
in Michigan. Yeah, the mics in Michigan. So what do you, to just kind of give us a 30,000 foot view on your business, today, what you guys are doing. Everyone loves to brag about how many deals they're doing. But at the end of the day, it's all about having a real profitable business. So I just want to kind of have you give us a 30,000 foot view, and then we'll dive into some stuff on the marketing side. And then I know you got some really cool stuff on the seller finance side, and you were talking about that a lot in Mexico.
Yeah. So our business today is primarily wholesaling. It traditionally has been. We had gone through the phase of, and a lot of people want to do this, scale, scale, scale. That was a hot button. Try to treat real estate like tech. I have seen way more failures doing that route than successes, right? It's the survivorship bias that kind of goes on. So we've actually scaled back, and relatively speaking, we averaged about 100 deals a year for about 4-5 years. What we found though is we weren't as profitable as we wanted to be. We would be spending way too much money on marketing. We were essentially trying to do the tech model, right? Spend your way into profitability. If you do enough deals, put the other competitors out of business, blah, blah, blah. Kind of worked, kind of didn't. We found that we had this huge machine that cost, $50,000 a month just to break even. And that's insane. That's way too much money. So fortunately for us, right prior to COVID, we shut down our office like October 2019. So we shut down our office. We scaled back our team. We went down to bare essentials, and we just started going, okay, our engine is good. We have a good frame for our machine here. Let's start stripping it down to as little as it can be and putting back just the essential parts. Yeah. Because we had essentially created this monster where it was taking a lot of people, a lot of money, a lot of management. And I forgot that I did not come in this business to create this huge mind suck and time suck of a job. Yeah. And I hate managing people. Maybe I don't hate managing people. I hate micromanaging people. And when the machine gets that big and you're learning as you go, it's hard to manage them. So right now I've got 2 VAs on my team. I've got a disposition manager that's local. We've got a bookkeeper that we work with, basically part-time. And then I've got my business partner, Mike, and he manages a lot of the renovations and rehabs. But we primarily focus on wholesaling. What we also do is, if we're not getting enough money for what we think of on a wholesale assignment fee, then we will flip the property ourselves or wholesale it. And what I have finally convinced Mike of is that we're going to start doing a little bit more of the creative financing sales within return on investments, not just my personal business, which I've been doing for a little over a year. But really what we're trying to do is have a right-sized business. Our profitability has gone way up. Right now, we're probably going to be averaging, like last year we did about 55 deals. We'll probably stay right in that 55 to 70 range, which again, right, that's a lot of deals for a lot of people. It's just we were used to doing 8 to 10 a month. But the management of that's insane. So we're just being more profitable, being more selective on who we're targeting and how we're targeting them marketing-wise. And what it's doing is, and this is a good note to maybe pick up on for your listeners, if they're a part of something, and I don't want to naysay what other people are doing, but I think you would agree, being a salesperson, we don't want a huge volume of calls. We want a very targeted volume of leads. And there's a difference, because sometimes people make the distinction, like Mike would say this, he might even say it on your podcast, I can get 1,000% call return on mail. All I have to do is say, I've got your kids, call or else. Right? You don't want that kind of call coming in for your marketing. We want the people who are interested in selling us a home at a discount for some reason that we can help them with. I don't want retail Sally that has a perfect house in perfect condition and can wait 3 months, 3 years to sell their place. That's not my target audience. But sometimes people want to go scale, make the phone ring. I want the phone to ring less. And every time I pick up that phone, I want it to be gold falling out of it.
Oh, dude, that is an app. If everyone doesn't rewind that last minute, they got to unsubscribe from this podcast, because right there, Mike just saved you a ton of time, because everyone, and Mike and I have a lot of mutual friends in the business. Go bigger, just spend more marketing, dude. You're going to burn out your salespeople in 3 seconds if you give them more calls, because it's all about energy management. And if you're getting retail sellers calling you all day long, you're not going to think the sales training works. You're not going to think the business works. So, man, I 1,000% agree with you, so much to the point where in my business, I have a similar business with you. I don't do the volume you guys do, but I have a small team, assistant, VA. And I always say, Anna, how many boxes did the seller check? And we have a little system we have where there's 6 indications that a deal is going to happen. And in order for someone to be an actual lead in our business, they got to check at least 2 out of 6. If they don't check 2 out of 6, there's most likely not a problem we're going to be able to solve for them. And then they're going to get referred out to an agent, and they're going to get treated the right way. man, that's such good advice. And it's going to allow you to work less and make more, which is exactly what you guys are doing. You don't need to do 100 deals to make a lot of money in this business, you know?
Yeah, we made more money last year than we ever have in terms of what we kept in the bank. Yeah,
totally.
right. Someone was saying, and I love it. I mean, everyone out there touts their gross. The gross is garbage.
It doesn't mean
right?
shit.
It's the net, right? Like, I can gross $1 billion. If I spent $2 billion, it doesn't matter.
You're done. You're going to the bankruptcy court. Totally.
Exactly. And one of the other points on why I rethought the marketing thing, like you reiterated, is you want to make sure that you're following up with your people. And if you're filling your pipeline and your CRM up with garbage, the old saying, garbage in, garbage out, you're just going to be wasting your time and bandwidth and energy on those follow-ups. And if you're doing a good job, you should always be getting new leads coming in that are qualified, and they should always be moving down that pipeline funnel to profitability or move them out of your pipe. And if you keep filling it with garbage, you're just going to be filling your time and energy and your people's time, and it's going to wear them out.
Yep.
And then you're going to start thinking as an owner, because I've done this, is, well, what the hell? We're getting 1,000 calls this month or 100 calls this month. Why aren't you closing more deals? Why aren't you closing more deals? Well, they're not good leads. Well, how do you know that? Well, and then, then it becomes that time suck of going and trying to manage. And actually, these are just bad calls sometimes.
100%, dude. It's so true. And people are like, that's the truth of the matter. And people don't like to admit the truth. They're like, oh, I've spent more money in marketing, so I should automatically get a higher, we should have more revenue. But that's just not true. Like I've seen people spend more money in marketing, and they've just put themselves in a real pickle. And I mean, I spend a reasonable amount of money in marketing, but that every single channel I do, it needs to be held specifically accountable for results, or else it's dropped. It's like black and white. It's like, okay, are we getting a 3-to-1 return on mail minimum? Yes, no. If it's yes, keep it. If it's no, cut it. It's simple. And people don't think like that. Oh, let me just 10x my business. It's like, no, you're going to 10x yourself into the freaking bankruptcy court if you do it like that, because you're really going to put yourself and your team in a very vulnerable position, because then you have that pressure. Oh, we got to close this deal. We got all this overhead. And man, the lean and mean model is getting sexier and sexier by the day with the market changing. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And the 10X thing, right? It's sexy and it sounds good. And I think what Grant was actually trying to say with that, and think differently, change your head so you can think of different kinds of solutions. You're not going to actually just go out there and spend 10 times your money and get 10 times your results overnight. Like people take it so literally sometimes, and maybe that's his fault. Maybe it's not. I mean, it's a great book. It's inspiring and it's all of that. But at the same time, he is paid to get people's attention. Like 100%. He's not 10Xing other than trying to get your attention to buy his stuff and his courses, his programs.
It's so true, dude. It's so true. And like I think a lot of new people, they fall vulnerable for a lot of stuff because they just don't know what they don't know, and they don't have that experience. And the experience comes with the wisdom comes with the experience. So got 2 questions for you on the real estate side. And, so you mentioned your team, which is a real small, lean, mean team, which is really the way to go. So disposition side, that's something I'll start with a story. I got a little stutter there. I'll start with a story. So in my market, basically, I have a lot of new investors, and I'll have a lot of other investors. Just they might not even be new. They come to me, and we wholesale properties at premiums with my buyers list. So my question for you is, what does your disposition process look like in Michigan? So you guys are always allowing to get top dollar for your wholesale deals, because we have a pretty good system in New York, and I'm sure you guys are doing something similar in Michigan.
I believe, right? It's hard to verify this data, right? But I believe we get the most money and the best deals.
Yeah.
And the way we do that is, to your point, a very systematic way about how we do it. We actually don't co-wholesale very often at all, because a lot of the people, if they want to come out on our buyers list, we have to fully control it. So someone has to be willing to assign us their contract and let us go to bat for it. Because if you check an email from us, you are going to have a very, very confident feeling that we fully control that deal. Can we control crazy sellers that disappear or whatever? Every now and then people just go nuts, or a title comes back bad or whatever. But whenever we send something out, it is always something that we are fully in control of. So we don't end up co-wholesaling too often. I don't know what it is with our market. I feel like everyone, they want to have the whole pie, even though like we could probably get them more money in their pocket if they co-wholesaled with us.
Yeah.
But the process is, we send out an email. If anyone wants to sign up for our list, it's WeBuyROI.com. You can hop on there and get on our email list. We always try to be very thorough. We don't put out ARV because that's subjective.
Never.
And
boom, dude, that's a nugget.
Yeah. I mean, what good is it ever going to do you? A buyer's going to say either if you're too low, they're going to agree with you. If it's too high, they're going to tell you it's too high. If it's just right, they're never going to tell you that anyway. So I want people to do their own valuation. And what I'm noticing here a little bit more often is people are buying Airbnb model. So ARV doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
So we don't do ARV. We don't do a rehab estimate because I don't know if them and their brother and their uncle are going to go put in the tile, and I don't know what that cost is going to look like. And I also don't know the renovation level. We only put in facts. So if the roof has a hole in it, roof has hole in it. If there's the foundation is crumbling, The rest is pictures. And we usually have 50 to 100 pictures of every house. The phones I've got these days, because I tend to go out there and take the pictures, or my dispositions manager will, get the wide angle lens, and you can see a whole lot of stuff. And then I try to do a video walkthrough as well, so we can put those pictures back together.
Dude, it's golden.
So we send all that stuff out. Then we don't show the house to anyone unless they are willing to give us a soft offer up front. Dude. This is two things. One, it weeds out the field trippers. If you're brand new, please just let the wholesaler know, hey, look, I'm just trying to look at a house. If you have a showing, can I come and take a peek at everything?
Yeah.
And ask for best practices for how to interact when a seller is there, or if they're not there, because depending if it's occupied or not. Be upfront. Like, that's the thing, is everyone tries to hide and fake it till you make it. Like, if you're serious about buying, be serious about buying, because if you give us soft offers 3 times, 4 times, or whatever, and you never actually make that offer, guess who's not going to see a house again?
That wholesaler.
That person. Yeah. So, I mean, if they go out there and see something totally different than what we projected in the pictures, okay, that's fine. They can tell us that. So we only let people out with soft offers, and we try to keep our showings to 1, maybe 2 times, if that. So that's really what the process is. We have a very strong relationship with our title company, and Connor's our disposition guy. He's the one that works with them all the time, and knows when he can push them, when he can't push them, and it does come down to experience, knowing your buyers, knowing your market. I would say not being afraid to ask for the right amount of money, sometimes more than you should ask for, because then it gives room to go down. I know there's different philosophies on that, but it's harder to get investors to go up than it is for them to make a lower offer and come down.
Oh yeah. Dude, that's gold, man. Mine is very similar to that. The ARV thing, I stopped doing that a year ago, and I probably put an extra 100 G's in the bank just from not spilling my candy, as they say at Sandler. And because at the end of the day, like you said, dude, like, it's gonna screw. Like, it's telling I see all these I get wholesale emails all the time from other wholesalers, and I'm just like, man, like, why don't we just teach you how to write some basic sales copy and we get you more money? Because it's just like, dude, like, they're like trying to sell. You can't sell a turd, because a turd is always going to be a turd, so they're putting the ARV, and I'm just like, dude. So anyway, so yeah, that is a huge nugget for anyone listening. Like, put out the facts. Don't put something that's negotiable, like the ARV. Like, that could, because the ARV could be 375, and then that buyer could, think it's 400, and then you just bit yourself in the ass. So, I mean, that is golden advice, practical advice. And I guarantee the listeners right now, if you implement what Mike just said, you are going to make more money. Faux show, as they say. So last but not least on this podcast, Mike, I want to definitely respect your time. You said you're doing some seller finance stuff. So I want you to walk the listeners through kind of what you're doing on the seller finance side, because that's something that people are very interested in, but there's not a lot of people really talking about that besides like you, Mitch Steven, a couple other guys, Eddie Speed, good guy. So yeah, it's always, I'm always curious to see how you guys are doing those deals.
I think the best place to start on that is why I got into learning about this. And here in Michigan, at least, and I know every market's different, but here in Michigan, rentals look awesome on paper. I can buy a $50,000 house that rents out for $1,000 a month, but that property tax is probably around $2 to $3 grand a year. There is also most of our cities, some of them are getting sued, and hopefully they all get overturned so they can't do this anymore, but they're doing rental inspections and rental certifications. And they do that annually. And I've never had one come back that wasn't more than, it's less than $1,000 to $2,000 in fix-ups every year. Then you got your insurance, then you got your property management. So what looks good on paper ends up being like $15 a month.
Yeah, right? Like, if you're lucky.
If you're lucky. So I was at a mastermind, and Mitch Steven actually was there, and I've always been interested in buying on terms. I never thought about so much selling on terms. And then he's the one that kind of, opened my eyes up to how that exactly could look. And I want to make sure I plug him then, because he's got some courses on his material, on his website that I've gone through that are really helpful. So, check him out, Mitch Steven. But basically what I've done is I've removed all of the hassle for the most part from this, because now I take a house that have been rentals. This is how I started. I converted every time a tenant turned over. I just went and sold it on land contract, which is called here. Contract for Deed, other places. Essentially, I'm establishing myself as the bank, offering them a line. And these houses, I'm getting 10% down or $10,000, whichever is greater. So I'm making them have some skin in the game. I've actually found a lot of investors are interested in this because they can't find, like, banks, at least here in Michigan, still don't like lending to real estate investors.
No.
So if I'm offering them terms, I'm charging them 11% interest on a 30-year amortization schedule. And since they are an investor, I don't have to follow Dodd-Frank because they're considered a professional and they are expected to understand and know their own information. So I am setting it up that way. I have a note servicing company, but essentially what I don't have to worry about now anymore is property tax because they're the owner. They pay property taxes. I don't have to worry about maintenance or repair because they're the owner.
Yeah.
And I get enough skin in the game from them that if they do damage it, it's no big deal to me. Because typically what I'm trying to do and what I have historically been doing is selling it to them as is. I'm not putting the rehab cost into it. They're taking it. I'll give them a little bit of a discount on what it costs to do it, but I'm just basically flipping these over really quickly, not dealing with contractors, not dealing with cities, not dealing with tenants, not dealing with taxes, not dealing with insurance, and just getting money coming in. And the beautiful thing is, if you look at it on an amortization schedule, right? This is where the banks make the most money. That's why they offer these 30-year notes to everybody and their brothers. For the first 7 years, you don't pay any of your principal down. So I am basically getting all interest for the first 7 years. And what I found from the people that are doing seller finance a lot is the first 7 years is usually when people refinance or cash out and sell. Most people move out of their houses every 7 to 8 years. So essentially they're just paying interest all this time to me. And then when they refinance, think about it this way. I'm hitting all of the major milestones. I'm getting a down payment. There's my assignment fee for wholesaling. I'm getting monthly cash flow from the interest amortization page. There's my landlord. And then when they cash me out in that 7 to 10 year mark, then I get a flip profit because I've marked it up from what I bought it from. And if they want to take the full 30 years, awesome. That's a 30-year income stream.
That's a 30-year income, dude. Bro, I love it, dude. I love it. So you're doing this in Michigan. Now you're selling them on land contracts. So they're going to become the owner once they pay it off, correct? Because there's a little bit of a nuance there, right?
Correct. So once they pay it off, the deed is held in escrow by the title company. Different places do it different ways. Some places I think use attorneys and whatnot. We use title companies here. That's what I use. I just try to keep it simple. So once they pay it off, they get that deed released to them. I don't ever want this to be the case. This is why a lot of people will offer do balloons and have people pay off in a certain period of time. I don't want to take a house back, but doing this for about 1.5 years, 2 years, I've already taken 2 back. And it wasn't even taken back. They gave them back to me because they didn't want to deal with them. One of them got an impact from COVID. It was an investor look, you just want it back? I'm like, sure. And the other one's a tenant that was moving, or not a tenant, but he kind of acts like a tenant. Yeah. But he just overbought and then he wants to move now because of COVID. He's like, how do I just get rid of this? I could sell it. I know that, but it's going to be a pain in the neck with an agent and all this stuff. Yeah. As I said, hey, what if I gave you $2,000? I'll give him $2,000. He's paid me for 2 years and I give him $2,000 back. And then I can go resell it for an updated market price now, which is higher.
That's amazing. Now, do you have to foreclose there in theory, or do you have to, is it eviction? Because he's not technically an owner until he pays the property off, because that's where it's a little nuancy with these deals.
So title does transfer. So in our land contracts, title transfer, deed doesn't. So it's like buying a car essentially.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's they hold the fucking thing until it's paid off.
Exactly. So in this situation, I have the option to foreclose or forfeit. So the forfeit is a little bit speedier. It can be 30 to 60 days rather than a foreclosure, which can be up to 6 months and then a redemption period here in Michigan. So typically speaking, I would go for the forfeiture process, and we have a combination of judicial and non-judicial. To be honest, I'm still learning about that. Mitch said do everything in my power to make sure that I go non-judicial if possible. So that's one of my next homework items. I don't even know what that means. I've been doing this for 6 years. I have no idea the difference.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm not an expert in this, but basically Michigan is, I'm not a politic person. It's a pretty liberal place from what I hear. Oh, well, sort of. It's this, I'm not
purple,
side, but it's purple. Yeah. So a judicial state just means that in New York and Florida and in I think Pennsylvania, but anyway, New York, Florida, you have to basically go in front of a judge to foreclose. So it takes forever. So in New York, I shy away from this in New York because you can literally stay in your house for 5 or 10 years if you have a good attorney. And that has to go through the judge, it has to go through the court system. It's a fucking pain in the butt. in Texas, I was talking to Mitch yesterday on the podcast. He said you can literally foreclose it if you know what you're doing and there's no coronavirus, 45 to 60 days, because that foreclosure does not need to go in front of a judge in order to get, in order for the verdict to really come in. So it just means you can foreclose a lot faster, which is good for you, obviously, because you don't want to be in a quagmire where they haven't paid in 5 years and you're, you're just like, oh shit, like they're in the house, So, yeah, that's kind of what that means. So are you, follow-up question on that, with the notes now, are you borrowing from the bank and wrapping the notes, or how are you financing the first purchase when you're buying the asset and then reselling it?
Yeah, I mean, that is really where, one of the most important things I think every investor needs to understand is having access to capital is incredibly important. So I have used some subject to strategies. Those are the ones that keep me up at night. I replace them as quick as I can. I work with individuals that have idle money sitting around and they want to get better rates of return on their investments with the security of a home
property. Yeah.
And that's basically what I tell people. If you want to look at the stock market every single day and see if it's going up, see if it's going down, or move it into bonds, which get nothing in interest, or your savings account, look, I'll give you, 6 to 8% is what I typically offer to people.
Yeah.
And it's interest only. So your principal is not getting knocked down. And then I make them wrappable. So to be honest, my lenders oftentimes can make more money than I do, but that's okay because I find these opportunities. And I'm talking about a monthly basis, right? When they cash me out, I'll make more money because of the long-term investment. But I've had several people tell me recently that they make more money working with me than they do from their pensions.
It's true.
So
it's legit. It's a way better investment. It's a better
exactly. And look, the stock market might be 7-8%, but is it when you're retiring or when you're getting close to retirement? And like ask the people in 2007, 2008. If they were getting ready to retire anywhere in the last 10 years, I know it's at an all-time high now, but as Warren Buffett says, it's time to be afraid when everyone's out there, being excited. And when everyone's afraid, it's time to be excited. I think we are peaking right now. So I'm always sharing the message. Look, if you want to diversify, get into real estate, but not have to learn everything I've learned, find all these deals, like I'll get you with a sweet interest rate. And if I don't pay you back, guess what? You get a house that's worth way more money. So worst case scenario is I pay you exactly as we agreed on. Best case scenario is I don't. You get a sweet house.
You get a house. Yeah, you get a house with like literally $40K of fucking free equity because you bought it at a discount, dude. It's literally a no lose scenario, and it's absolute. That's the strategy, man. That's the way to go. Because at the end of the day, it's a win-win for everyone. And if you can provide a legit opportunity for everyone, which this is the case, that the tenant buyer wins, or the borrower wins, you win, the lender wins, the economy wins because we're putting jobs, people are paying, so they're stimulating the economy. Man, seller financing is phenomenal, man. And this is the second day in a row I've talked about this with a seller finance person. So, man, we could talk about this for hours, but I don't want to do that because I know you're a busy man. So, Mike, man, wrapping the show up before we share your contact information. If there's a new investor listening right now, they're on the fence about getting started, what would you tell them? What would be your best advice for them? I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but I kind of am. Like, what is your best advice you tell that new investor getting started? They might believe that it works, but at the same time, they're a little doubtful because they haven't done it so yet themselves. What would that advice be to that new investor?
Well, first and foremost, I would tell them it works. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so many people out there finding success. Yeah. What I would tell them, though, is think about what it is you're trying to get from the business. Why do you want to be an investor? And it's different for everyone. Some people truly do love flipping houses. I absolutely hate it. I don't like dealing with contractors. I could care less about taking something and making it pretty, ugly and making it pretty. Some people love that and they live for that. I got into this so I could live the life that I wanted to, time and financial freedom. I like talking to sellers. I like helping solve problems. So that's why wholesaling as the top of the funnel makes sense for me. But that's why I marry it up with the seller finance and passive income stuff. Because if I don't want to talk to a seller, I don't want to have to.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different strategy and what they want out of it. So taking the time to think about how that looks, how does your market look? Because, if you can get the same thing as me, like a $50,000 house that rents for $1,000, but you have $15 taxes and your cities don't inspect, rentals might be the better play. What I would say is whatever you get started in real estate in, it might not be where you end up. Because you're going to find the nuance. You're going to find the things that strategize. There's so many ways of making money and creating a real estate investing business that you can kind of custom create whatever to look at like the way you want it to. So I would say get comfortable in learning the foundational stuff, right? How do you value a property? How much should a renovation typically cost? How do you make proper offers?
Totally.
How do you generate leads? I mean, here's the thing that I think's going to happen. I don't know when, because I've thought it was for the past 2 years now that we're going to have a correction. But there was a time in a day where you could go on the MLS and shoot fish in a barrel. You don't have to send any marketing out. It's going to happen again, right? Like, what goes up does come down. We've been on a 10, 15-year run now, it feels like. So when it goes back down, the MLS is going to be a good strategy at some point in time again.
100%.
But
100%.
The thing is, you got to keep paying attention. You got to keep learning, because that's the thing. If you get stagnant, if you don't learn and educate yourself, it doesn't mean you have to chase the shiny objects. But you got to be aware of what's going on and understand what your strategy is. And when your cheese moves, don't be afraid to move and find it again.
Love it, man. That's such good advice, and it's so practical for everyone, because everyone listening is in a different spot. You know, one guy might be, sitting there with some money in the bank. The other guy might be broke. The other guy might have 100 deals under his belt. So that's phenomenal advice. I love how you articulated that. And I really appreciate you being a guest on the show and a good buddy of mine. So if people wanted to get in touch with you, what is the best way? I mean, maybe the social media platform to follow you on, and maybe they have money, maybe they have deals, whatever. You never know what's out there in the internet. I've learned that from personal experience. So it's the best way people get in touch with you.
Best way to reach out to me is probably on Facebook, at the Mike Cowper. I've got a business page there. Same thing on Instagram. I don't get on there as much as I used to. I kind of have the social media fatigue, but I do check it, and the messages more than me posting all the time. There's so many influencers out there. I don't want to try and chase the noise of it. So, I mean, I respond to messages. I interact with people on there. I go to the groups and stuff like that, but I've tried to avoid the posting just because I feel like life is meant to be lived and seen and talked with, not shared on a job board, essentially, whatever that is. Yeah. That's the thing with social that I don't love, and this little soapbox, but remember, everyone's curating exactly what you're seeing. No one shows, I mean, unless they're looking for attention to a degree, but no one shows that, hey, literally before this podcast, my kid shit all over his room. Like, all over his room in his net. My wife was cleaning it up, and you don't post that on Facebook.
Yeah. Right. No one wants to talk about that. Yeah.
But you see the pictures in Fiji and all the cool stuff that we do. But reach out to me on there at the Mike Cowper. That's COWPER. I do respond to the messages there. If I can help out in any way, I've got a ton of help from a lot of people. If I were to give one other piece of advice, surround yourself with the right people. Try to find someone that is kind of a mentor, whether it's paid or not. I found if you can find the right people that are willing to help you locally, as a mentee, don't forget to offer your services. I think people want just the shortcut and aren't willing to be the apprentice anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's getting I think that's where a lot of people mess up. Like, they just want to go and pick our brains. Well, my brain has spent years getting all of this information. I'm happy to share it, but you've got to offer up some value too. Like, when I first got started with my partner, Mike Simmons, he might've talked about this on the podcast, but I offered to work for him for free because I had sales skills and I wanted to learn, wholesale and flip houses and use direct buying. It just so happened that we worked really well together and we became a partnership. But, don't forget that you've got to lead with value, and the apprenticeship role is kind of been phased out in a lot of ways. And I kind of think that's to the detriment of a lot of people, right? We want to start off at the finish line. It takes steps to learn how to be as good as you are. Otherwise, you'll just be sprinting and fall on your face.
100%, man. It's a process, and you have to have, like you just said, you have to have that service first mentality. Because when someone, I'm sure you get random messages from people you don't know from the blue, and they send you like a persuasive essay, and I'm like, I'd love to help you, but I don't even know what the fuck you said, because you just said 95 things. It's like if you said, hey, Greg, really like your stuff. Got a quick question. Do you have a minute? I'd be like, yeah, sure. But if someone sends you fucking Shakespeare's art, you're like, dude, I got 95 fires to put out. What's the, I'm from New York, so I have a short fuse, but it's all about how you approach people. And if I have people reach out to me all the time, hey man, how do I be of service? How do I add value? And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's get on the phone. I'm going to help you out. But it's all about how you communicate with people. And you always have to think, as we wrap the show up here, what is the other person going to think of you when you reach out? You got to begin the conversation in the other person's mind, whether you're in real estate, whether you're trying to pick up chicks, whatever the case is. I'm not a pickup artist by any means, at least not anymore. But, what is the other person going to think about you? Because that's how you got to set the stage, because if they're going to think you're an annoying pest and you reach out to them on the first time, they're probably going to ignore you, and then you shouldn't be surprised. But if you're like, how do I get Mike to perceive me well by offering value? You're going to respond a lot differently than you would if you send a persuasive essay asking him for his blood, So it's just, you got to be cool, and you got to be approachable, and you got to make sure you understand who you're reaching out to, what's the psychology behind them, and you'll definitely be successful.
I totally agree with that. And I would say know yourself, know what you're good at. Because if you're just generalizing what's going on, now you're making it a job for me to figure out how I can utilize you.
Yes.
So like with Simmons, I said, hey, look, I'm a fucking killer salesperson.
Yeah.
You know how to do the rehab and stuff. Like when I got started, I would literally go on these appointments and talk to a seller, go, hey, I need to call my boss, step outside, go, hey, here's what I see. What should I offer? What should I get it for? He goes, if you can get it for less than this, I'd always go for try and beat it. But like that's how I learned rehab and all of that stuff. But I knew I was good at sales, and that's a unique skill I could offer him to take it off his plate. So if you have a unique skill or something that you're really good at, like you're really good at documenting processes, you're really good at, technology,
streamlining.
Think about what it is that you could bring of value. Because if you're super general, then you're giving me a task. And what I'm going to do is put it in my to-do list that essentially just keeps going down until I look at it 3 months later and I hit delete.
Yep, dude, that's so true. I do the same fucking thing. It's hilarious. I just keep kicking the can down the road and then I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah, if it makes it 3 months without me doing it, it's gone. Because obviously I didn't need it these last 3 months.
It's like closing my closet, bro. I just give them all the goodwill, the ones I don't wear, man. I could talk to you for hours, man. We vibe. We're very similar. So I'm looking forward to seeing you soon at the next Multipliers event. Well, Mike, we'll have this in the show notes, man. Appreciate you being a guest and providing some real wisdom and insight. I hope you have a great rest of your day, brother.
All right. Thanks, Greg, for having me on.